Welcome to the episode of The Iwi Show. Today's guest, we have a singer and songwriter who has been in international events with thousands of people and millions of viewers.
You may have heard some of his songs, El Muro and El Rocky Mexicano, or more recently, you probably caught him singing the Mexican national anthem at the Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua fight, the one in Saudi Arabia.
Please welcome our friend, Andy Reyna.
Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to talk about my experiences.
Dude, we're excited. We're excited to have you. I know this was a long time coming. We have known each other for a while now, but I don't think I've ever asked you really, how did everything start for you? Like what's the story behind Andy Reyna, and where did you start?
Well, I come from a family of musicians. My dad was a musician. My grandfather, in my eyes, one of the best musicians that I ever saw. And ever since I was a little kid, in every family event gathering, I would be like, okay, you had all my uncles singing, and then sure thing, it was just like,
Bohemios.
Un palomazo.
It was, so they were like, where's Andy at? Where's Andy at? And they're like, and sure thing, like I used to sing like a bunch of old Mexican folk songs, from, songs that were from the northeastern side of Mexico, which was my dad's family from.
What would you sing?
Just like old folk songs. Like for example, the late Cornelio Reyna songs, like "Me Caí de la Nube" was one of his hits from back in the day.
So at what age was this though?
Oh, I was like 5, bro.
Oh, so you started early. Like you were really
5.
into music since
I started singing around that age, and all of a sudden it turned into like in every family event. And then when I was little, dude, I was like really shy. I wasn't really into it. I was just like, oh man, they're making me sing again. You know?
What was it? Just singing, or you also picked up, playing guitar or any instrument at that age?
Initially, it was just singing. Initially. It was just singing, and then my grandfather, he came to live with us for a while, and he got me into playing the guitar. And when he got me into playing the guitar, at first I was like, man, because I used to play with like steel strings, and you have to consider that I was like 6 years old, and I'll be like, I'll be complaining to my mom all the time. I'll be like, Mom, my fucking hand hurts all the time, and it wasn't until like my grandfather passed away. I mean, I would play a little bit, but once my grandfather passed away, he died in 1987. It wasn't until then that I said, man, I really gotta get into it, and I did it for him. Like initially, I was like, man, I gotta honor my grandfather. And then once I got into like junior high and high school, I started taking music lessons, and I got into like playing in bands.
So that's where you got more serious about the whole.
Well, yeah,
thing.
I started going to music school. I went to music school here in
where at? Yeah.
Here in Chula Vista, California. There's an academy called it was Academia Ritmo, and they used to teach dancing. They used to teach acting. I had to do all three. I had to do acting, I had to do dancing and music. It wasn't like, hey man, I'm
we may put those dancing moves to the test or something just as a proof.
Hey, I used to be a pretty good break dancer back in the day, bro.
Oh no way.
But when I went into the academy, it's just like I couldn't just take singing. It was just you have to act, and I had to dance. So I learned a little bit about everything initially, and then I was there for a couple of years. And then once I got into high school, like I got into like a rock en español. I used to have long hair when I still had hair, And then I got into La Escuela de Landa in TJ. In Tijuana. Landa is the Asociación Nacional de Actores, which is one of the oldest, like I think the most like respected schools from that era, from the 1950s all the way to like possibly the 90s.
Did you when you were there at ANDA and TJ, were there any of your colleagues did they make it into like movies or whatever I'm assuming in the Mexican scene or maybe international scene?
There were some singers that I thought they were like, man, these guys are like really good, bro. They were really good, but there were some that made it from on the local, probably local. They became pretty famous locally in TJ at that time, but you just I went knocking on many doors. I got the opportunity to go on tour with like certain people, like Julio Preciado.
Within the academy?
Oh, cool.
No,
Or
actually, it was outside. Like I toured with Julio Preciado for a little bit.
What was that part of Anda, and then they organized something, or you were just like knocking doors,
Just kept knocking on
singing?
doors, singing wherever I got an opportunity. I used to sing in clubs. I remember I used to sing in this one club in Tijuana. It was called La Casa del Ranchero, and I was 16 years old, bro. I wasn't even.
You were
old.
16. And
I
you
was.
were playing. How did that happen?
I wasn't even old enough, bro. I wasn't even old. I wasn't
It's
even
TJ.
old enough to go inside the club. But you know what, dude? I used to perform there all the time, and I don't. Some of you who grew up from that era, there was this place on Revolution. It was called El Jalapeño Club. El Jalapeño Club, back in the day, it was considered what they called it La Catedral de las Bandas.
Well, you said your grandfather, right? Basically, that's where it started, right? With your grandparents being singers and stuff.
My grandfather's story, bro, is incredible. Like what I know that like in the 1930s, it was his father, which was my great grandfather, and him used to like sing in bars and clubs. And
Also from your great grandfather kind of thing.
Wherever they got an opportunity, it was like kind of like father and son type of thing. And even though my grandfather had like another 7, 8 brothers and sisters, like and I think a couple of them also sang, but my grandpa was the one that really stood out. And my grandfather was only like 12, 13, bro, and singing and he used to sing like in clubs, bro, and stuff like that at that age, bro.
Yeah,
and
so all of you pretty much started early, it seems, on the singing
yeah,
career.
you know, and then my aunts, that actually, my saludos a mi tía Mimi, saludos. A mi tía Mimi and mi tía Connie, they were the Reina, las hermanas Reina, and they used to perform back in the day, bro. They used to do that. They used to do their thing, but love came in the air and got married, and that was that.
They would all perform in TJ, or where?
Actually, I think they performed in L.A.
Okay.
In L.A. I think that's where they did their performances.
And this is all banda, I'm assuming, right? Like Mexican regional music.
Mexican regional. I would not say banda. I would say more of the norteño side.
Norteño side.
Yeah, banda banda music did not really come to the scene like into the late 80s. Late 80s, even though you have like performers such as Luis Perez Mesa, who was like the first guy who brought in banda music that made it like somewhat popular. But then in the 1980s, there was just two guys that actually put banda on the map, which was Antonio Aguilar and Lorenzo Monteclaro. Those are the two guys. When I was a kid, I was like, I went to go see Antonio Aguilar. I was like, damn. I was like, fuck. I was like, I definitely want to see that guy.
Yeah.
I went to go see him a couple times with the banda in live. And I was only like 13, bro. I was like 12, 13. I was like, man, I want to be like that guy.
So what got you into basically like the Mexican regional besides your family, or did you always have a liking to that kind of music?
I grew up with it, so I grew up with it, and that was it's part of my culture. Part of my culture, and I grew up with it. I used to live in LA, and in every family gathering, that's all we listened to. So I kind of grew up with it. So and I do enjoy listening to it. I like all music genres, but like my culture, my people,
your roots are
my
basically
roots
that
are
is
all
your thing.
That's my thing.
Who would you say initially, when you were a kid or 18, was your idol? Like, I know you mentioned Antonio Aguilar, but was him? Was he your idol, or who was it?
As a kid, you know what? I can't really say that I had one idol. I would probably say, well, Antonio Aguilar, I used to love his music growing up, but at the same time, I was growing up, I used to listen to all different types of genre. I used to, listen to like pop music in Spanish. I started listening to rock en español. I used to have long hair. I actually played in a rock band, actually.
So that was what Andy was listening to back then.
Yeah.
What about right now?
What I listen to now? You know what? I haven't changed much. I still like to listen to a little bit of everything. In music in Spanish, like I could listen to música norteña. I could listen to banda for a while, and then I'll say, okay, let me hit some Soda Stereo, some
nice.
Maná, Caifanes, and even even some of the newer bands that are coming out right now, like Zoe, or I also like follow like Luis Miguel. I like some of his music. Or all of a sudden I'll say, well, okay, put on some Depeche Mode, and I want to listen to Depeche Mode, Depeche Mode, The Cure. You know, I like those 80s, late 80s, early 90s bands.
I thought you were gonna say, you know, because of your daughter, that now you're into Frozen and all those kind of Disney songs.
Paw Patrol.
Yeah, he
You know what, bro?
he doesn't want to admit it, but he secretly likes Paw Patrol.
You know what, man? I am so into the whole Frozen thing for a while.
Yeah,
Like,
is that what she got into?
I used to hum the song in the shower and stuff, dude.
Yeah.
But it's all good, man. It's, you know,
You gotta enjoy those moments.
you know, when you become a parent, it's really, you know, amazing how it changes you. It
Yeah.
really is. You know, there's nothing like it. You know, it's the most difficult job I've ever done, being
Yeah.
a parent,
I
for
bet.
sure. But you know what, man? It's a blessing. It is a blessing.
Do you think, or do you see your daughter getting into any of this? Because I've seen her like dance. Like, it seems like she still likes to dance. So,
Yeah, my daughter is 6 years old, and she's in we got her in ballet, we got her in piano. You know, I'm always coaching her on her singing, even if she starts singing, and if I catch her that, you know, that was not the right tune, like, I correct her. No, mijita,
Your falsetto is
higher,
not correct.
a little bit higher. You half a note off. You know.
Well, it's good
But-
that you know about this, because you can.
Yeah.
It almost seems like it's like the thing that you have to pass on, right? It's like your heirloom.
Oh yeah, you know, it's music is in. The other day, somebody asked me the other day. He goes, "Hey, Andy, you know, it's like, you know, I really, you know, I can't believe that, you know, all of a sudden, like, we don't hear nothing from you, and all of a sudden, boom, you
explode.
you explode like that, you know." But, you know, music is in my blood, it's in my culture, and I'm a musician, you know. So, I recently I played in Tijuana not so long ago, and one of the musicians that I played with like 20 years ago, and he's like, "Man, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you're out here." And I said, you know, and then what I told him was, as long as I still can sing, and I still have the love for the music, I'm gonna continue to do it, because I want my kid, you know, to be able to say, like, man, you know what? Follow your dreams, and keep pushing forward. You know, a couple years ago, I would have never thought that I was gonna sing in the fight of Andy Reyna versus Joshua, singing the Mexican national anthem
Crazy.
in the heavyweight championship of the world,
Yeah.
where was 100 million people watching the event. Shout out to Andy Ruiz and his team, and Andy Ruiz's father, who was awesome with me the entire time, and everyone who participated in that event. You know, it was an amazing event. You know, because that's what it was.
And I guess that is a perfect segue. Like, how did that happen? You know, like you're saying, you know, one moment you've always been a musician, you've always been in the scene, but from almost like local, and you know, like, you know, you have your music, you have your recordings, you've always been a musician, but from that to, you know, making it to an international event, and, you know, singing the Mexican national anthem, which I think it's awesome.
Did he just stumble
How
upon
did that
Andy
go?
Ruiz in the streets, you know?
Yeah, like you do. Like, yeah, I was, the other day, I saw him at the tortilleria. So it's all good. Yeah.
It's all good,
That's
bro.
how it happens.
He to be honest, I mean, I don't know the guy, but just from the interviews from Andy Ruiz, he looks like an awesome dude, like, to hang out with, and you're saying like really good things of the family, so I'm just assuming like they're awesome. But so yeah, I'm curious to know, like, how did that happen? Yeah, it's
So I signed with High Power Music, and one day, you know, I did a corrido for Mr. Capone. You know, he's a really known, you know, rapper artist from the LA area, and I'm really appreciative, and I really appreciate everything that he did for me, because if it weren't for him and my boy MTO, shout out to my boy MTO, you know, I would have not made it to Saudi Arabia. You know, I did the corrido for Mr. Capone corrido, and it did really well. We almost hit like 1 million views on YouTube. And one day, when Andy Ruiz won the fight against Joshua the first time,
June 2019. Yeah.
I was here at the house, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna do a song for him. And I had this jingle in my mind, and I said, I'm gonna do the song. And it was kind of like, voy a cantar un corrido muy bonito, llegador al corazón. And it just clicked, and I just took out paper and pen. I just started writing it. And it took me maybe an hour just to get all the words, everything that I wanted to say. It just hit me.
Yeah.
Because I was excited that a Mexican had won the heavyweight championship of the world. And Arriba Chicali, Imperial Valley,
Yeah.
So I told Mr. Capone from High Power Music, and I said, hey man, I did this corrido for Andy Ruiz, and Andy Ruiz, he actually knows Mr. Capone. He actually knows him.
Oh.
And because Mr. Capone actually, I believe he helped him out in his earlier days when he was starting out as a fighter. And one day, Mr. Capone gives me a call. He says, hey bro, it's Andy Ruiz's birthday, bro, and we got invited to his house. I was like, no shit. And he's like, bring your guitar, and sing him the song.
Oh, wait.
And I'm like, you serious? He goes, yeah, bro. And he goes, meet me here. And so, long story short, I was like, holy shit, it's gonna happen. So I got my guitar, put in new strings, and try to get him ready and stuff. I started playing a lot in the afternoon because when you put in new strings on the guitar, it takes a little bit of a while to blend in. So once we get to Andy's house,
so this is at his house.
At his house.
So family is there, Andy Ruiz is there, you're there, your producer is there, I guess.
Yeah, Mr. Capone, myself, my boy MTO, who's like my manager, and we show up. Crazy party. I mean, it was pretty intense, but I started meeting people. Everybody saying hi to Mr. Capone because he's a very known guy. They know him. Yeah. He's famous. And Mr. Capone's like, come on, man. And so we end up hey, let's go say hi to the champ. So we go all the way and meet him in his living room. And I'm just kicking back in the kitchen. I got my guitar in my back, and I'm like, oh shit, And I didn't even know what's gonna happen. So Mr. Capone's like, hey, you know what? Here's my artist. Andy Reyna. He did a song for you, and he wants to play it for you. I'm like, holy shit!
You're like, right now?
Right now. And he was like, all right, And,
go for it.
And Andy Reyna was there. He was like, hey, what's up, Tocayo? And so I'm like, fuck, And so I met his dad. His dad comes on, and his dad is super cool, man. Andy Ruiz's dad is super cool, man. Very, very es pueblo, humble person. And he me dice, okay, chavalón, me dijo, a ver, échale, And then Mr. Capone was like, okay, but just tell your story, just give a good story.
Get on it.
So I said, well, my song is called El Rocky Mexicano. #El Rocky Mexicano. It's available in iTunes and music platforms. Yeah. El Rocky Mexicano. And I said, well, my story is that I'm very proud of this man, that being the first Mexican to win the heavyweight championship of the world. And I got the idea because I saw you guys with Jimmy Kimmel. And Jimmy Kimmel asked Andy's dad, who was in the audience, and he goes, hey, how do you feel about your song? And Andy Ruiz's dad, Andy Ruiz Sr., who's also my tocayo, he was like, yeah, my son, El Rocky Mexicano. So when he said that, I was like, shit, that's it, bro. That's it.
Good.
So that's the song.
Nice.
El Rocky Mexicano. So I started the song. I took out my 6th string, and then I started singing the song right there in the kitchen, bro, with Andy, and his closest people were there. And so I started singing the song, voy a cantar un corrido muy bonito, and then once I was finished with the song, I assumed that they liked it. They liked the song, and Andy and Andy's daddy goes, come on, let's go outside. They'd grab me outside, bro. We went outside to the balcony because the DJ was playing in the balcony, and Andy's dad goes, all right, dude, shut the fuck up. He told him, he goes, my boy's gonna sing right here. So they gave me the mic and goes, just sing it. I went, I don't know. I'm like, dude, I'm all like, oh, dude, I'm like bien paisa, no? I was like, I can't plug in. I'm like, I don't know where to plug in. My song's not an electric guitar. He goes, dude, just sing it a cappella, bro. Just sing it a cappella. So I started singing the song in front of the entire party.
Oh man,
I started singing.
So obviously this is all, this is the beginnings of the corrido. Like at that point, obviously you didn't have a video fully produced or anything.
No,
it was
no.
just like right there.
So
you
this
were
was
just
your,
like,
I think this
boom.
was his first time singing it live to anybody,
Yeah,
right?
to anybody. I
Like you wrote it, you composed it, you got to the party, and it was like, there you go, boom. Like,
Yeah, it was like that, bro. So I sing the song. I sing the song in his kitchen, and it was in the kitchen, bro, in Andy Reese's kitchen, and he gave me a high five, gave me a hug, gave me oh shit, he said tocayo, that chingón tocayo, that was fucking awesome, you know. So I sang it out there. And then Andy Reese's dad was like, oh, you know, I'm going to take you to Saudi. I'm going to take you over there. I'm going to take you to Saudi. You know, you're going to represent and all this and that. But you know what? I took it with a grain of salt.
Right.
Because, you know, it was a party. Everybody drinking.
Things get said. Sometimes they don't have.
Everybody was drinking.
alcohol's flowing.
So he was like, hey, so he started asking me, he was like, hey, bro, like, what's going on with you, man? And he was like, where else have you sang? So I started telling him about my earlier days, about my tour with Julio Preciado, con los Incomparables de Tijuana, you know, singing in TJ in LA, and when I was touring back then. And I also told him that, hey, I also sang for Erik El Terrible Morales. And he's like, oh, you sang for Erik? I go, yeah. I sang for Erik in the Pacquiao fight. I sang for Erik in the Marcos Maidana fight. You know, I was honored to be able to sing for him. And then he was like, no shit. He goes, you did? And it was like, I don't remember you. Like, oh, well, I don't know.
No, what are you?
I'm like,
It
fuck,
is
you know?
what it is.
It is what it is.
But my boy MTO was like, he was like, I got the video right here.
Oh, so he had the proof
He
ready.
was like, shh. He took out the video and he was like, check this out. And it's me singing the national anthem. It was me singing the national anthem, and it was like, and he looked at it and he was like,
You're it.
I'm taking you to Saudi, bro. And I went, yeah, just let me know, bro. Just let me know. And it was kind
You
of like
got my
that.
number.
So we
All
exchanged
good,
numbers
yeah.
and all that.
Fire away.
And so I went and I actually recorded the song. And then I called my boy Erik, El Terrible. Le dije, Terrible, necesito un favor. I need a favor. And he was like, what's up, bro? And he goes, what do you need? And I go, let me borrow your gym. I want to do.
Oh, that's right.
I want to do. So
His gym?
I did El Rocky Mexicano. I did it in Erik El Terrible Morales' gym in La Zona Norte.
That's
Oh,
epic.
shit.
That's
Nice.
something that's something that
Nice.
actually I've seen your video.
Yeah.
That's a bit that I didn't know. And
Yeah, it
that's
was in
really
his
cool.
gym. And Andy's debut as a professional fighter was in TJ, bro.
Mhm.
It was in TJ. So
He has a really good record, by the
He
way. I think he
does.
has only 2 losses.
yeah,
That's about it.
he's the most like, you know, people didn't take him seriously, man, and he shocked the world, and I believe that, you know, that Andy can still be. He can still win. I think he could be you know, he had a little setback on the rematch, and you know, but I think he could be champion again, and,
Yeah,
and he's gonna do it, bro.
I
I think
agree.
he's gonna do it.
Why is that? Why do you think you know, people were not taking him seriously, even though he was literally making it to the heavyweight. He was literally contesting the heavyweight championship.
You know what, the boxing world, bro, it's all about, you know, promoters and who has the right promotional company and who's investing in you and who's not. And
The hype, too,
You
in
know,
a
there's a
way.
lot of hype. You know, un saludo a mi amigo Erik El Terrible Morales. I'll talk a little bit about what I'm about to say right now.
Hashtag El Terrible.
Hashtag El Terrible. Like, a lot of people ask, like, why didn't, like, Juan Manuel Marquez never fought Erik Morales? So the fight didn't happen because at that time, you know, Erik, I think Erik is like 5 or 6 years younger than Marquez. But at that time, when Erik was on top of the game, his biggest competition was Marco Antonio Herrera, who was another rising star. So the money guys was Morales and Pereira, but not Marquez. Marquez wasn't the driver, and it's a business, bro. So
Yeah.
the risk, like, if I'm a promoter and I'm promoting like Erik Morales, and I see Marquez, who's a very dangerous fighter, maybe underrated, I would say, man, I'm not gonna put my young fighter against this guy. I mean, he's not that famous. Why would I expose my fighter, right? So sometimes things don't happen because of those things, you know. And even when the fight could have happened at a later part of their careers, you know, for whatever reason, you know, le dio frío or whatever a Marquez, you know.
Shit.
I'm not talking shit. Those are words from those are facts. And those are facts. You know, and you know it is what it is. You know, and unfortunately, for
Like and subscribe.
for Andy Ruiz, you know, that could have been his story, bro. That it was like for Juan Manuel Marquez, it wasn't until the latter part of his career that he became known and famous, and he started winning.
Yeah, and I think, and I may be wrong. I may need to double check this, but I believe that fight with Anthony Joshua, I don't think Andy Ruiz was really on the docket, right? I think there was another fighter, and then eventually maybe he got called off.
Not sure.
Yeah, I remember there was something that happened, but he was definitely the underdog. Like, everybody didn't think he could pull what he pulled during that first fight.
Well, yeah,
and he did.
They brought him in there to lose, bro.
Oh yeah,
because that was
yeah.
Joshua's big
believe the same
debut
thing.
in America. He never fought in America before, so they picked someone they thought he could beat easily, but they were wrong.
Yeah,
Not only did he lose, but it was by knockout.
Yeah.
too, right.
Yeah, technical knockout. I think
Yeah.
it was. I think he knocked
Seventh
him down
round.
a couple of times before at the end the
a bit-
ref
yeah,
was
my
just
song-
like, no.
Like a back and forth.
So the
and-
song that I did, El Rocky
Yeah.
Mexicano, hashtag El Rocky Mexicano, you know, it was really, when I did the song, it was the story of that fight. I introduced Andy Ruiz in the first half of the song. In the second half of the song, I talk about that the fight happened with Anthony Joshua, and then Joshua knocked down Andy. Andy came back and just whooped his ass, basically.
Yeah.
He came back, right? So, and that's really the story of that song. And I recorded it in Tijuana, in Erik Morales' gym. I actually called Erik and I said, Erik, can I borrow your gym, bro? Oh,
Well, nice of him.
no, Erik, you know what? Erik is in the time that I've known him, you know, he's one of the most humblest persons in that I've met in this world of, like, in the industry. You know, Erik, when I first started out, like maybe in the early 2000s, I remember that one of my former agents, you know, he's like, hey man, I know this guy named Jorge Quesada. Saludos a mi compadre Jorge Quesada. So he's like, I know this guy who has this singer named Nico Flores. Nico Flores it's a singer from Banda who used to sing in La Banda Limón, who went solo, and Erik was promoting him at that time. And they told me, hey, Nico is actually going to be performing in El Jaya Live at Tijuana. I mean, the event is his. And they said, hey, you only have one shot. You know, Erik is going to be there because Erik is his producer, and you only have one shot.
Oh man.
So I'm like, holy shit. So I had a band, bro. I had a band that I practiced with like twice a week, and I was ready. And they said, oh, you can't take your band because another band is playing. So you just pick up 4 good songs, maybe 3, and do the best you can.
Just sing with whatever is already
whatever.
set up. Yeah.
Oh man.
So I get there, right, and like first they had me waiting. Nico already had done like 2. He already went to 2 rounds, and in Spanish they call it tandas. He already done 2 tandas, and then the norteño went up, and then like, all right, you know, get Andy. I wasn't even introduced, bro. Like, they didn't say, hey, we have and it was a full house. It was a good turnout, and it was like, well, we have the singer who wants to sing un palomazo right here, you know. And it was like, hijos de su madre. Dije yo, like, all right, whatever, man. But I was, you know, this is my opportunity. So I went up there, and I told him the song, and I think I sang una canción de Ramón Ayala. Dos hojas en rumbo. That's what the first song that I sang. And the song came, the musician started playing, so I started singing, and at first it was kind of shaky because I noticed that the bass was not in the same tune as el bajo sexto.
Mm-hmm.
They were off tune, bro. And I literally stopped them, bro. Like, I said, stop. I said, shut up, stop. I looked at him and I put my hands up and I said, stop. And the guy stopped. And I said, and I grabbed the bass player and said, you're here and you're here. And then I said, oh shit. And they were like, all right, roll again. So they started the song. They started going again.
So I started singing now. And the next song I did was El Columpio. El Columpio. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that song.
I know it.
And
All right, sing it. Sing it. He only sings in the shower.
You don't want me to.
We don't want to lose subscribers.
want me
so when I sang, bro, when I sang El Columpio, when I sang it, I could see where Erik was sitting, and all I could focus was, well, where is Erik Morales, and I saw him, and then I was singing to the where I kept looking to where he was at, and I'll never forget that who is now my compadre Jorge Quesada, like he was like just like at the side, and it was just kind of like So he looked up where Erik was, and I remember that Erik just goes, he gave him a thumbs up like that,
like the Caesar scene from Gladiator.
He was just like, yeah, it's kind of like that, bro. And but for me to talk about it right now, to think about it and remember it, is like, man, like at that time, that was like one of the best, like the keystone moment of my career at that moment, because as a singer, as an artist, and at that time, Erik was the rising star in boxing, right? For him to say like, man, I like how this guy sings, it for me was like, yeah, baby.
Yeah,
you know, it was a really good. It was a really good feeling.
I think it's also assuring, right? Because it tells you that what you're doing is really something that people like, and something that you could go far with it, right? You had the momentum, it seems. You had the right people behind you, and I don't know. It's just, it was maybe your time.
Right stage.
Yeah. So
people like it. They react to what you like. I mean, to what you're singing, what you're giving them. So yeah, must have been awesome. So that was your connection with El Terrible.
That's how I met him. That's how I met Erik Morales, and Erik has always been super cool with me. Him and his entire staff are friends of mine. I get along with everybody in his staff. You know, I get along really well with one of his trainers, Fernando Fernandez. Saludos a mi compa Fer, who's now working. He's the main trainer of Jaime Munguia. Who's fighting November 13th against Gabriel Rosado.
He's lightweight, right? I think.
No. He's a middleweight.
He's
a middleweight. He's fighting against Gabriel Rosado. It's going to be an excellent fight.
In TJ?
No, they're fighting at the Honda Center in LA.
Actually,
in LA, in Anaheim.
Anaheim, yeah.
In Anaheim. But they were all super cool with me, bro. Super, super cool with me. I've never had any issues with them. They were very humble, great people. You know, we became friends. You know, Erik, and his former wife, they came to my wedding. Nice. Showed up to my wedding. I was honored to be invited to their wedding as well. And even though I have not seen Erik in a while, we kind of lost touch a little bit. But for me to be able to reach out to him and say, hey, Erik, man, I'm doing a music video for Andy Ruiz, and can I borrow your gym? He was like, without hesitation, he was like, yeah, bro, go ahead. Yeah, here, call this guy, and I'll make sure that the gym is ready for you. And sure thing, bro. I showed up, and there was no one training. The gym was empty, and he goes, okay, yeah. Erik called, and he said, yeah, go ahead. And we shot there. Nice. We shot there for a couple of days, and it was awesome, bro.
There is one scene where I thought, was it your brother that he was there too?
Yeah.
Yeah, so did he ever play with you? Did you, or was it just you?
No, it was me. It was me, and we had another musician as well, and when you're doing a music video, you grab whoever's available. Even when I did El Muro, like, it's funny because the band that was supposed to be there with me, they didn't show up, bro, because they had another gig. so
if they only knew.
Straight up.
So in TJ, bro, we were in Playas. We were shooting in Playas, and I told my brother with me, and I told, bro, find me a norteño. Do what must be done, my young apprentice. So I told him, find me a freaking norteño, bro. I need one. We were
about to shoot.
We were about to shoot, bro. We had cameras. We had everything. And sure thing, dude. They went into one of the mariscos, un restaurante de mariscos, and they say,
no way.
You guys want to come out in a music video? And the guys were like, sure, for $100. And they're like, all right.
Yeah.
Fuck, paid
Take
him
$100.
Took him $100. And,
So you got somebody from the closest restaurant you
yeah,
found.
because
that's crazy.
my band,
I would be freaking out.
I was, bro.
I want to backtrack a little bit just because I'm super intrigued into like about your experience in Saudi Arabia. How did it, like the Saudi Arabia trip, you singing, like how did it happen, and what was your experience?
You know what? I was in Vietnam. I was in Vietnam in vacation because I never heard back from Andy Reyna. Actually, he did call me once, his dad, and he said, "Hey, are you gonna do the national anthem?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. If you yeah, let me know."
You're like, "Oh shit, I thought you were tipsy."
Yeah, so he did call me. He did call me a couple times.
You remember me?
Oh wow.
So he did call me a couple times. Like he did call me a couple times, and then I said, "Yeah, just let me know." And he's like, "Hey, it was like, cuánto me cobras? How much?" And I told him the same thing. I told him exactly the same thing that Erik Morales used to give me.
Yeah, like I may or may not pull the same thing that the norteño pulled on me on El Muro.
Yeah. So it was kind of like that. So and then I didn't hear from him. So I said, "All right, well, it is what it is."
And you see, you're going to be part of the podcast now.
So,
we should make him part of the podcast.
So I didn't hear from him, and then the next thing I know, like I get an email. I get an email saying, "Hey, we need copies. I need a copy of your passport." And I'm like, "What? I mean, who's this? I didn't even know who
Do
he
you
was."
also want my social security
Shady.
number?
I'm like,
He says he's
I
Prince
thought
from
it was a
Nigeria.
scammer, bro. I'm
Yeah,
like,
no
I
shit.
said, "Damn, dude, this must be a freaking scammer or something." So
But sure,
I
here you go.
get it. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? That's what I said. But then it was, I'm actually Andy Reese's attorney, and we're getting ready for the trip. I went, "What trip?" Because at first I was like,
You tripping?
Got me off guard. And I'm like, "What trip?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, well, Andy Reese, we got you everything. We want you to come.
You're ready to go?
We want you to come to Saudi to sing the national anthem." And I was like, "Whoa!" And I was in Vietnam. And when is the trip? And he's like, "You fly out, December 2nd." December 2nd. I went, "Shit! I come back from Vietnam December 1st."
No way.
And you know what? The Saudis, man, I have to tell you this, man. They were so nice to me, man. I was wearing this big Mexico jacket. I was a big Mexico jacket, bro.
Representing.
I was representing, bro. But they were so awesome.
You were
man.
hard to miss.
But I would have to say that I would say possibly, because I was part of the entourage for the fight. But the Saudis were super, super nice. I mean, super nice. That I never felt that I was in danger or that there was an issue. Nothing, bro. Like I walked at midnight, like for 3-4 blocks by myself, bro, in Saudi. And now once that I felt like, oh man, like, oh my God,
I'm in the ghetto or something.
No, on the contrary, bro. Like I was like, man, it's not what people think, I got a lot of press from. I interviewed with BBC, with TV Azteca, with Televisa, ESPN. I got a lot of attention. I had actually went to dinner with one of the princes. Went to his house.
Oh wow!
With Mr. Capone.
No, that's not a house. It's like a palace. I bet it's like a palace.
It was a house. So we'll leave it at that. But it was awesome, man. It was.
What you guys did? They have like some beans and
he had some tacos, dude.
queso or something like that.
He ordered food.
Chorizo.
He ordered food. He ordered food. I mean, one of the cool. I'll tell you this. It was something really cool happened. Because I'll tell you a couple of things. One was we went to go eat sushi. And then when we're at the sushi bar, well, there's no bar because there's no alcohol. Well, maybe we had
the sushi place.
Well, it is a sushi bar, right? Like when they have like the sushi.
Well, it was a sushi restaurant.
Yeah,
it's called a sushi restaurant. And what happened was some dude showed up. He goes, "Where's the singer? Where's the singer?" He goes, "They're looking for him." And I'm like, "Why? He's got to do sound check at the actual arena." And that was the day of the fight. And I was like, holy shit. So I took a cab. I took a cab. And the cab drove me. I said, take me to the arena with a fight. He goes, and he spoke very little English. He goes, what? Fight? You want to fight? And I'm like, no. Dude, I don't want to fight you. Take me to the fight. And the good thing is that there was a billboard that announced fight. Take me there. I told him, there. Oh, fight. Yes, I take you. So he took me. And there was like a 3-mile line, bro, to get to the arena. I mean, bumper to bumper. And I told him, dude, just drive all the way to the front. Look, I'm going to sing in the fight. Look, here's my press pass. Take me all the way to the front of the fight. And he was like, no, I can't. I get in trouble. Just take me to the front. So he dropped me off like about 2 miles away. So I'm running, bro. I'm literally running in the freaking freeway.
No way.
Between cars. I was running, just trying to get there. And I get there, I showed my pass, and I made it all the way to the arena. And I'm so out of breath. I was so out of shape at that time. And I get there, and he goes, and I'm the singer. I'm the singer. I came this close of singing the U.S. national anthem as well. I was gonna do both.
Yeah.
2 for 1. What
2
a
for
deal,
1, bro. 2 for 1.
What a deal.
And it was kind of like where I think I forgot the name. I think his name was Frank, and he's like, we don't have an American singer. And I said, I can do both. You can, okay, but everything was so structured as hell. They were like, no. You're singing the Mexican national anthem. We don't have a singer for the American. One of the days that we went shopping, like I wanted to go by myself because I wanted to get the experience by myself without anybody. So I took a cab, and the cab driver was like, he asking me questions. He actually spoke really good English. He goes, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I'm here to sing." I go, I'm part of the fight. And then when he took me to my destination, he was like, "Oh, you don't owe me nothing." No, seriously, bro. How much do I owe you? Oh, nothing. He's like, "You're my guest in my country. You don't have to pay me nothing."
Wow. That's
Wow.
awesome.
And
that speaks volumes.
So the guy got off. He got out of the cab. He goes, "Can I take a picture with you?" Yeah, bro, absolutely. So he took pictures with me, and then he called. I think he called somebody, and he goes, "Oh, I'm here with the singer of Mexico. He's famous. He's like the biggest Mexico singer." So, and I was like, "No, bro, I'm not that famous, bro." But I could.
But
be.
thank you.
Thank you. But yeah, we took pictures. You know.
So all those days prior to the fight, you were just like chilling, doing
Press.
this adventures press.
We did a lot of
A
press.
little bit of shopping.
We did a lot of press the night before. Andy Reese's chef. He brought birria, bro. From here, he brought the tortillas, the cebolla, the cilantro, the sauces.
Straight up.
It was awesome, bro, to be eating like birria in Saudi and singing Amor de los Dos to the royal family,
That's
bro.
crazy.
It was
Right.
crazy, bro. It was crazy.
Obviously, you were going by yourself. I take it at this point, it's not your family going with you. It was just you, your wife, your kids, everyone like stayed home, or were they also at Saudi
No,
Arabia?
dude. Let me tell you. So let me talk about this. So, meanwhile, you're in Saudi Arabia. You have all of us basically taking pictures and watching the fight because we know that he's singing. We literally have some family over and we're watching it, and we're really just looking. We were looking not to miss the fight, and we're texting his wife because the wife is here with the daughter, and we're texting her like, "Oh my God, Andy's about to go up there," and we're taking pictures and just sending to him just good vibes like his way. But yeah, dude, it was crazy. Like a lot of us, I don't know if you felt it, but we were all supporting you over here. So
You know what? I'm very grateful and thankful for all the support and love that I got from my family and my friends, and I was getting like text messages when I was in the arena. People sending me videos. I got a video from my family in Mexico City. Un saludos a mi primo Raúl y Aurelia. They sent me a video. They were watching the fighting. And then I got also like a shout out from her brother who's he was at that time, he was in Croatia.
oh, wow.
And he was watching the fight.
So you got good vibes all around the world.
Nice.
Oh yeah, bro. And even back in the day, with singing for like Erik Morales, it was being at the arena, with Erik, we got to see like the very best, and also like the times when he wasn't doing so well, towards the latter part of his career, but I was honored to be part of that,
Who is your favorite all-time boxer?
My favorite all-time boxer, I would have to say my friend Erik, El Terrible Morales. The fact
Is it
that
because he's watching, or is he really?
no, it's because I was a fan of his. Because he's from Tijuana, it represents Tijuana,
gotcha.
and me, that's my hometown, Tijuana, and I support the local
Fighter,
local
talent.
fighter, local talent, and the fact that I know him, I'll tell you a crazy story about Erik. Erik, I'm sorry, disculpa por lo que voy a decir. Saludos.
He's not really sorry.
No, I'm not. Saludos, Andrea. Si te acuerdas, voy a contar la historia. So one time we went out. We went out and Erik got a little bit tipsy. He got a little bit too much to drink, and I drove him home. He used to live here close to my house, and so in the morning, like my mother-in-law was at the house, and she thought there was a guy laying in her couch, and she thought that it was her other son, so she covered him up. She gave him a kiss on the forehead and all this and that. And in the morning, I was like, and she's like, "Who's that on the couch? Is that my son?" I'm like, "No, that's Erik."
That's el terrible.
Like,
What
who?"
Erik?
She's
What
like-
Erik?
She was like, "Erik who?" And I go, "El terrible, Erik Morales." The boxer? I went, "Oh." Yeah, that's it. She starts cracking up. Oh, if I could kiss him in the forehead. She's like, so she was super cool, bro. I love my mother-in-law. She was super cool.
She is nice.
She made us some chilaquiles in the morning. The best,
That's
bro.
what it's all
Yeah.
about.
The best, dude. We came out and
One of the best hangover foods.
yeah,
Good point.
and then my wife, she was so mad at me. But once she came out and she saw Erik, she was like, "Oh, all right, I'll forgive you. I know where you came from." Yeah. The next day, Erik's wife at that time, his ex-wife, I think they're divorced. But she called me. She was like, "Hey, Andres, I'm sorry." It's funny, bro. It's good times, bro. And that's what I really like. I'm really grateful with like Erik and his people, because even up to this day, we're pretty close, and they've always been really cool. They've always been really good to me.
And with that, Andy, we're getting to our last segment of the show, and this is where we are going to ask you questions with no background, no context, and that's where you just have to answer A or B, basically.
All right. Shoot.
Okay. Are you ready?
Ready, Freddy, man.
All right, let's do this. Star Wars.
Fan since
So,
1977.
okay. Episode 1, Phantom Menace, or Episode 9, Rise of Skywalker?
Hey,
Phantom Menace. Okay. Asada o al pastor?
al pastor.
Beer, wine, or tequila?
Wine.
America or Chivas?
America.
No,
Yeah,
no
well,
way. You know what you just did?
You're a man of,
He's a big
of
America fan.
knowledge. You're a man of knowledge.
Wow.
Good answer.
What's with all the Americans?
It's very simple. Es el equipo más grande.
Oh,
There we
shut
go.
up.
There we
his
go.
ego just went that
See?
much.
There we go.
There is no other.
Keep going with the questions. I'm pissed.
There is no other.
Canelo or Plant?
Canelo by 8.
So, Polo Polo or Franco Escamilla?
Polo Polo. I'm old
The
school.
GOAT.
The GOAT.
I'm old school like that.
Valle de Guadalupe or Napa Valley?
Oh, el Valle.
El Valle.
A huevo.
Nice.
A huevo que
Chilaquiles.
sí.
Chilaquiles, verdes o rojos?
Rojos.
Pozole o menudo?
Menudo.
Messi o Cristiano Ronaldo?
Messi.
Man, he's not hesitating at all.
He's good.
Okay, this one he's going to have some trouble. Listen carefully. K-pop or death metal?
Death metal.
Oh, man, I was really hoping
Nice.
for it.
Slayer all the way.
Can you sing us a little bit? I'm just kidding.
Slayer. I actually like some of the Slayer songs.
Slayer songs? No way.
Yeah. The
Oh.
Angel of Death. It's one of my favorite songs
There
from
you go.
Slayer.
Nsync or Backstreet Boys?
Is there a third option?
Nope.
That's
Nope.
my
Me
answer.
too. Don't be shy.
I would probably say Backstreet Boys because I don't know any of the songs of the Nsync guys.
All right.
Nah, he really liked the dancing.
Good logic.
Team Edward or Team Jacob?
Edward.
Nice.
Wisin or Jandel?
Chandon.
McCartney or Lennon?
Lennon all the way.
Marvel or DC?
Oh, Marvel. Come on, man. Come on, bro.
Stark or Lannister?
See, that's a tough one.
That's the toughest question.
That's a tough one. I would probably say Stark.
This, I think, is gonna be the toughest question, in my opinion. This is the one that you have to think really thoroughly.
Think long and hard.
Long and hard. Okay. Leo or Jonah?
I'll say this: Arriba la América.
Oh man!
I told you.
Yeah, baby.
Can't believe it. Wow. You know what? We're canceling the show. Andy,
It is what it is.
Andy, thank you very much for having us here today at your house. It was a blast. Anything you would like to tell your fans, your family, friends out there listening to us?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you to the Iwi Show. Thank you to both of you. It's been a lot of fun to hang out with you guys and tell you a little bit about my story. And it's been awesome, man. And I want to say that we're working on new music. You know, I got a couple songs ready. You know, we're working on trying to get this new deal to come back out there. And hopefully, you know, we had some really good things. We had some really good projects coming after, you know, right after the Andy Reyna fight. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, everything went to shit, to be honest with you. And so right now we're trying to get back in it. You know, we got some new music, and we're working on hopefully getting back in the market. And I want to thank my fans, and I want to thank everyone who supported me throughout my entire career, like my family and friends, that I value their support.
For sure. And we'll leave, you know, everything, all the social media, all the Spotify, all the links to Andy Reyna's material, just here in the description box. Like, subscribe, and that's a wrap.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
It is what it is.
Gracias.
Thanks for
It is
watching.
what it is.